Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Happy 10th year anniversary to the Liso Foundation. Hello, everyone. I am Febika Ira, founder of the Liso Foundation. Our mission is to promote a better lifestyle for children, their families, and the community with emphasis on education, community development, and youth empowerment. I am so excited to share with you that the Liso is now 10 years. 10 years as of October 8th, 2023. Woo, woo, that is a milestone that we need to celebrate. Therefore, this is an invitation. It is an invitation that you come celebrate with us. It'll be a brunch celebration on November 18th. It'll be a Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We look forward to celebrating this milestone of service with you. It is a family-oriented event because we've always had children at our events. From day one, our first event, we've always had children. It is a youth empowerment initiative. Therefore, this is no exception. We want our children to come there, have fun, enjoy their brunch meals, and celebrate. Please bring them. The registration is...
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It is Saturday, 4th September. That is a very important date in our family because, Roger, it is your sister's birthday today. It's my wife's birthday, so we are celebrating. And immediately I'm done here, jumping in the car, going somewhere the whole day. We're just going to spoil and put the buffet style of things on this lady. I know everybody expects me to do that, especially your sister, Pastor Mwaka. She's always on my case. You need to spoil her. You need to spoil her. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we would like you to tag a friend and let everybody know that ZBTR is on. Today, we have a very, very interesting discussion. It's Canada Day. It's Canada Day.
Good morning, my friend, and happy birthday to our sister over there in Texas.
All right. I will let her know that you said happy birthday.
Yes.
And everybody here now knows that when Roger shows up, it's serious business. Okay? It's serious business. My friend, like you and I talked, I mentioned this to you last weekend. 400 plus Zambians gathered in Chicago, Illinois, and to celebrate Zambia's 59th independence. This is the mother of all independence celebrations. So at that event, one of Zambia's, one of the diaspora big brains,
yes,
you know, this guy thinks in a, he doesn't think in a box, okay?
You have to know him well to understand him that, oh, this guy.
It's a Mufrila thing. It's a Mufrila thing. Kumufrila, we say what's on our mind, and we tell it like it is, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today is not really a guest. He's been on the show before, but he's here today to break down some things. Musaba Chailunga joins us from Toronto, Canada. That's where he lives with his family. Musaba and I have known each other for many years, forever. But believe it or not, this is the power of these things when you get together, Roger, everybody watching. We met for the first time on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, instead of me saying good morning and everything, I'll just say, Shani boy.
Nathan, how are you?
Doing good. Happy to have you here today. And we have a lot of interesting things to talk about. So you met me for the first time. What was your impression?
To tell you the truth, it didn't feel like I met you for the first time. It didn't feel like that at all.
Yeah.
But you spoke, and something I've been speaking to you or listening to you speak. But on that day, I realized you are a very gifted speaker.
Oh my. I just prayed. What did I do?
No, you said, even praying, or you said some things, like the way the words come out, it's very captivating.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
And of course, there's sense behind it. It's not just the words, right? Yeah. So I was like, wow, I didn't know this about him. Yeah.
I would say thank you. Excuse me, because my friend, Dr. Musomas, taught me something, and I'll mention his name. Dr. Musomas taught me something that Roger, he says to me, stop this Pentecostal thing of saying, it's not about me, it's God. Just say thank you. Ever thought them about Pente? Umuntu akupela compliment, you take it in a spiritual way. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And I'll tell you this. When I saw you, I looked at you and I said, this guy looks taller than he appears on the pictures. And you are more calm than what you write. Does that make sense?
Yes.
By the way, it was also a blessing and an honor to meet your wife.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So kumufulira nishi, you are saying tama kumene po kumufulira. Omaleka kumufulira.
No, can you imagine? He even went to the same school.
We went to the same school. When he came to Butondo, I had already left.
My God. My God.
Musaba, obviously, when we do these things that we do, Roger and I always talk about this, and we've said this over the years as we've done ZPTR going to 15 years. These things don't just happen in isolation.
Yes.
You and my beautiful sister had a conversation that tukayaku oza independence. Okay?
Yes.
So she agreed with you, said, okay, I don't know between the two of you who does the booking of the tickets and the reservation stuff. So mwanine ndeke mwaisa ku Chicago. What were your expectations?
The expectations were varied, right? I've been to events in Canada, and I've heard about events in the US.
Yes.
So basically, one of the goals was just like to meet people. You see, to meet people that mostly I've only interacted with online. And I thought it would be nicer if we put faces to the names, you know, and then of course you broaden the networking like that. So in a basic way, that was the expectation, right? Just to meet people, because to be fair, independence celebration could have been done anywhere, right? All Zambians did it anywhere. But the whole idea of going to Chicago was also that, mainly to actually like meet a few more people in the United States that are Zambian.
Okay. How did this, I know it was brief, how did this conversation go?
It was brief. I think I've followed His Excellency the Ambassador online, even before he became ambassador. Of course, I've known him. I mean, I've known of him from a very long time. Of course, being with Zambian media, and then the IMF, and then his businesses and his consulting business. So I've actually followed him with interest, right?
Okay.
But one thing I mentioned, and one thing we talked about, is that we need to bridge that gap between Zambians in the diaspora and Zambians at home. Because Zambians at home think that either we are not Zambian enough, or we are just arrogant, right? They don't see the benefit that comes, or the interest actually that we have in Zambia itself.
Interesting. What was his response? I know it was brief. I'm just interested in what
he understood it because even him having worked at the IMF earlier, or having lived outside Zambia before, he had also been seen like that. So it's very easy to communicate with someone who has been, and of course his position. You see, in Zambia, we have people who don't want to look at the details or the specifics or the or of things. You see, like we are more about groupthink or what is more popular to say or to listen to, right? So we miss what is important in that case. Yeah.
Okay, let's get down to the bottom of and stop making Roger become a spectator here. Let's get to the nitty-gritty.
I'm enjoying it.
Of why we are here today. We live in the diaspora, and a lot of things happen. There is a cultural way and a business economics way that these economies we live in, Canada, America, Europe, and everything, the way they look at things, okay? We look at the World Cup as a sporting event. We're looking forward to watch the games and everything else. But somebody else is looking at it a different way. Roger, when Musaba and I spoke on Monday, which has brought us today, I want everybody to know this. That's why we're having this conversation about postmortem of $250,000 OZA event. And everybody was reaching out to me and they were like, You see, we underestimate ourselves, all right? Most of you may not know this, but the Texas Rangers just won what they call World Series, right? Okay,
Yeah.
finally, okay. And they were almost estimated 500,000 people showed up for the parade yesterday. All right. And this is where we get into the nitty-gritty of this conversation. After we returned from Chicago, I asked what were your impressions and takeaways from the OZA Independence Celebration. And you responded by saying?
Basically, it was about the number of people.
There
were like 400 people.
Yeah, 400 plus.
I asked you, I wanted to know how many people were there exactly. Because for me, I like working with numbers, right?
There you go.
And when you work with numbers, numbers don't lie. It's just the language on its own. So when you asked me, I started computing numbers, and that, even though that's not why I went there in the first place, it kind of triggered my thinking in a different way. It kind of also proved me right in most of the things that I've said about Zambia and with Zambians, right? Because most people, their biggest argument is that in Zambia, we can't do many things because we don't have money.
Yeah, the Zambians don't have money. They just regular jobs.
Yes,
hand-to-mouth situation. But sorry to cut you short, but Roger, when he said what he said, I said to myself, I need to confess here, this show, it wasn't my idea, and I've said this to many people. It was Musaba's idea. He said, let's talk about this. It just blew away my mind. And a lot of people were like, $250,000? So Tampa Boy, let's do this and show our community how powerful we are, but we don't realize it.
Okay. The first thing for me was that, first of all, most people like saying Zambians don't get along and you can't do things together and things like that, which I obviously dispute, right? And then I started asking questions. For example, I didn't stay at the hotel that you guys stayed on.
No.
Because, of course, we're going to Chicago for the first time. And Mrs. Chailunga, of course, I figured even if we stayed there, we still have to go downtown.
Yes.
So we decided to stay downtown in Chicago, right? And the hotel that you guys stayed on, you guys were paying about $150 a night.
Yeah, 143. Yeah, okay, with taxes, 160.
Of course,
it came to 162. Yeah. And those watching, if you can help us with some actual figures here, we don't want to be exaggerating things. Yeah.
Yes. So the first thing we did was that we say, okay, 400 people paid $120 for the ticket
to enter the event.
But that event, we're buying tickets via. If you're buying via Eventbrite, you pay. It comes with fees.
Yes.
So for someone like me, of course, I'm sure everyone, I would say it was 129, right? 129 by 400 comes to $51,000, about 51. To round off is about $50,000. Then you look at the hotel rooms, right? For 2 nights. Then we said, okay, not everyone there came outside Chicago.
Yes, of course.
What is the percentage of people that were there that were from Chicago, from outside Chicago?
Outside Chicago.
Say 75%, right? Now, 75% of 400 is 300. And then we said, okay, let's use the hotel of 300 for 2 nights by 300 people. That gave us $90,000.
There you go.
Right?
Actually, I've been corrected. It's 162 plus taxes.
Okay. Yeah, that gives us, and now that would push us to about 100,000, right?
100,000. Just the hotel.
Just the hotel for 2 nights, because all of us, I think, most people were there for 2, or some went for 3 nights, but most of us were 2 nights.
Yeah.
Right? Then we said travel. Right? Whether you rented the car to get there, whether you drove and you paid gas, right? Easy $300 by flight, whatever. Easy $300 to go and come back.
Yeah, that was my air ticket price as well. It was about $300,
yes.
300 something.
For people that came further, for people like us, it was higher because it's international travel and things like that. But you have to use what is considered the average. That again gives us about 90,000.
Okay.
Right? So when you combine these numbers, you get 180 plus 50, that gives you
$130,000.
This gives you 230.
Oh, already?
Already.
We haven't even spoken about the drinks.
Yeah, we haven't talked about other incidentals so basically those are the numbers we are working with.
So, Roger, when you hear Musaba say that, okay, what, without really even like, what does this say about us on the notion and the argument he's giving that there's this thing about Zambians tabako atenda lama babomba fienda utuchito, aka waya, what does this do? And where should our thinking go when we're talking numbers like this? You've just tackled 2-3 things, and it's already come to 230,000. Is that right?
Yes.
So what does this do, Roger?
One time I shared on Facebook, Musaba remembers, whether animals can count. Remember, Musaba, that?
Yes.
Whether animals can count. There were these, I don't know if it was hyenas trying to attack a lion. And they were, but because of their numbers, they stood up to the lion.
To the lion, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
I saw that one as well. it shows the power of numbers.
Yes.
Nathan
Yes.
and Musa. It shows the power of numbers. So 300 or 200, somebody saying, might not mean a lot, but us coming together, it shows what kind of force we can be. That's what it says about us.
Musaba, what spending power capability does? You were there, okay? And we are going to play the ambassador's clip. He said some things, but before we get there, do we recognize the Zambian diaspora is carrying, I'm calling it an economic revolution, which needs to be harnessed. When you looked at that crowd, what capability? I remember I told you, I don't like this word potential. I don't know why I've tended not to like it anymore. It's not a potential. We have it. It's there. So when you looked at that crowd?
Okay, when I looked at that crowd, we are also aware that the 400 people is just a fraction of the Zambians in the diaspora.
Oh, did you hear that, Roger?
It's just
Yes.
a fraction.
Yes.
And personally, I like to work like you work with the minimums, and then everything will be the bonus. Roger, if you remember, a long time when we used to interact a lot, we used to talk about the 3%, right? You just need 3% of the population, right? So this now is like redirecting the energy, right? If the independence celebration is an energy, right? You can create another energy, which is like an investment energy.
Okay.
Right? And then you can say, okay, you don't have to bring everyone together. It could be people with particular interests. You can get 400 people with particular interests. Independence Day is celebrated once a year.
Yes.
Right? Now, if people could commit themselves to making similar contributions quarterly to a pool, all of a sudden you can find that 400 people would be contributing to that pool $1 million in a year.
Yeah.
If you are contributing, like you contribute a certain amount, of course there has to be reason for it, right? The same way there is a reason to celebrate independence, but there has to be a reason for the for people to commit to it.
Yeah.
It has to be something that interests people. It's not something that, and that's why when we talk about self-interest is a very powerful tool as well, which most people confuse with selfishness. You see, it's not easy for someone, no matter what we are talking about, for someone to decide that I'll take a few days off from work.
Yes.
Which means that for some people, when you don't go to work, it's lost revenue, right? Even if you're in business or whatever. For some people, it's different. But for those that probably give up some revenue and then spend, so their cost is even higher, right? Because you didn't make $200 and then you spend $200, so the cost for you is $400, right? So now what we are looking at, or what we'd like to look at, is what can we do? What can we think of that can allow us to harness this power, right, of even reaching more people, right? Because if it's 1,000 people, if it's 1,000 people,
and that's my campaign for next year. We need to be 1,000. We need to
yes,
be that 60. Zambia at 60. We need to be 1,000. Mark my words.
Yeah. So if it's 1,000 people, then it's even more money.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't want to make this show like it's the show that we have to come up with the ideas of what to do, right? but
No.
this show is something that we have to plant ideas in people's minds.
Exactly.
To plant seeds, not ideas, to plant seeds in people's minds, to start thinking that we can actually do a lot more because we have a bit more.
I want us to go back to the numbers like Henry has put here, okay? Sectors which benefited from Moza independence, you've dealt with hotels, you've dealt with the airline, you've dealt with the event price that we had to pay to go in. And one thing interesting, like Henry is saying, here's a funny part. We all flocked to Nando's. What was that about? What was... Go back to the way we broke down the food and the drinks. I asked Roger, I asked him a question. I said, what was the average price of, let's take a beer at that cash bar at the event? What was the price?
The Heineken was $9.
The Heineken was $9.
And the wine was $9.
And the wine was also $9. The wine, that's a glass, Steph?
Yeah, a glass, a red glass of red wine.
Not the whole bottle that Mwaba was buying. Sorry, Victor. Nando's reminds us of Zambia. That's Sister Clotilde. Yeah, of course. We all flocked to Nando's. So I still want us to zero in onto this figures thing, because people thought you and I were being alarmists when we said postmortem over 200 and whatever $1,000. So $9 on average, how many bottles does a person drink?
No, you can say three drinks.
Three drinks?
Because some people drink like one minimum. Some ladies, they'll drink minimum one drink.
And then switch to wine.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Switch to water.
Yes.
I'm sure Clotilde is saying, Pastor, stop.
Even the water there was being sold. So it's not like the water was free, right? So it's about... some people, like we mentioned, we can't, like some people are buying bottles of wine. And then some people were just going drink per drink, right? So if you make it, and I don't want to inflate the numbers.
No, we are not about inflating. We're just working with averages.
So if you give an average of, say, 4 drinks,
yes, okay,
you are talking about $40.
Yeah, $40 times 400.
Yes,
people.
Yes,
we are working with estimates here.
Yes.
Okay. I wonder how they come up with this. Roger, they say 500,000 people showed up at the Rangers parade. I'm looking at the figures on TV. I'm like, okay, whichever figures you use to count. We are just working with 400 years Zambians. We're just trying to see the power that we have and how much we dropped in that local economy where we went in. So 400 by 40 by 400, that's how much?
I think 16. Is it 16,000?
16,000?
Yeah.
Just on drinks. Okay. The food at a meet and greet in the evening, I think it was $25 per plate. That's a maximum. If you picked everything, the way they were doing it, if you picked everything, you basically spend about $25. All right. So if we take 25, it was crowded there too. We're working with the number 400. So 25 by 400. 20.
I think is it 2,000? Is it? No. 20. I don't know.
Roger, takwete calculator.
I have
10,000, I think.
21,000?
10.
10, okay.
I'm not that good with the math. It's just 4 by 20.
And on gunpoint for that matter.
4 by 25 is 100, right? And then you add the zeros. Yeah.
They add the zeros, yeah. So it's $10,000. You see, these things look, okay. Yeah, she says meet and greet, you can work with 200 people. Okay, so let's reduce that by 5,000. That's just the food. The drinks. How much was a bottle of beer at meet and greet? Local Tilda, help me out here. That's the purpose we are doing there. Yeah. Dr. Munsanje, easily 10,000. Well, Dr. Munsanje is saying 10,000. Yeah, easily. The purpose we are doing this is to show how we do have the spending power, like you have said, Musaba, which can be harnessed into something else. Okay. Oh, by the way, to enter the event, you had to pay $10 on Friday night. I forgot about that. Good morning, cousin. You had to pay $10 to come in. Wine was $5 and liquor was $10. They are giving me the figures here. Okay. So if we here is my question. We are comfortable sitting around, okay, the table, having a drinks, and we did that at the weekend. We always do that. Dallas did it. Pennsylvania did it. Roger posted pictures of Calgary. They did it. They had an independence thing. We sat down, had drinks, and we'll even do it in our casual time. Why does it become difficult when you change the conversation to something else? What I mean by that is when you change the conversation to business, to investment, it becomes difficult. Why is that? Those watching, help me in the comments. Why? Why does it become difficult when you change the conversation?
Is that question for me?
Yeah, for both of you. It's a Canada Day today.
Well, maybe I can throw in 1 cent. I don't know if it's going to be the scientists. You guys, we are self-appointed scientists here today. If we went into science, it is the question will be: so what will motivate people to do what they did in Chicago? How do we then translate what happened in Chicago, translate it to, let's say, a bigger vision? How can we show the same picture, the same kind of interest?
And I'm glad you've mentioned the word vision, because like Musava is saying, so vision is something I talked about in 15 seconds.
Yes. Yes. If we have 1 minute, while Musava was giving the numbers, I don't know, Musava, you're not even in our cooperative. We are investing in bonds. Just putting that money in Zambian bonds for 10 years, you see what that translates to. So in short, we can see a bigger picture. But at the same time, in my view, is how do we translate, not necessarily translate, how do we use a platform like the OZA platform to now to show the bigger picture? So OZA should not be seen as the end of it all, as it were, but let's say it is now the platform. One of the statements you said yesterday, Nathan, which caught my attention, was everyone who brought something there, they sold.
Yeah.
The vendors. Everyone who brought something there, they sold. Yes. So which means this platform should be harnessed. How do we make sure everyone who has something to sell, they will be able to sell not only what Musaba he attached to it. Independence was for one day, but how do we then now translate this to other platform to be every day? What is the interest for the Zambian people? What were the products which they liked? Who is interested in retirement funds? A lot of us probably are. Who is interested in food, reselling food? But this platform, in my view, Musaba has broken down the numbers very beautifully. And the other statements which he said, what did he say? This was this was just, was it you, Nathan? This was not just this was just Chicago, but it was happening also here in Calgary. We had it. The friends in California had it everywhere. We had these all small ones. How do we translate this bigger platform to benefit not only on the independence, but the day to come and the days to come, so to say?
Yeah.
To me, it's huge.
And Musaba did allude to that in our conversation behind the scenes. He said it's not just the Oza event that happened over the weekend. All the individual, if we may say so, independence celebrations that met in different parts of the country and of the world, if you even want to go there. Musaba, why don't we just embrace each other and embrace what others are doing? Where does the difficulty come there? Like Clotilda is saying, Global Crop is doing it. People need to embrace that. Fiashu upira pesa, which to embrace each other.
I can't say I wouldn't be comfortable to say Charlie Schuper.
Yeah, that's why I like the way you think.
That's my boy right there. That's my man.
I think sometimes
I like that.
Yeah, because sometimes we need to be a bit more positive about ourselves, right? I think the bigger challenge is that most of the information gets communicated wrongly, and you get to believe what we are told, right?
The negative.
Yes. If we think $20 or $40 or $100 can do anything, we'd rather just do it something else with it. Then of course you won't do anything, right? Over the years, I have insisted, for example, the biggest argument in Zambia about, say, for example, mine ownership and developing mines, the biggest argument is that we don't have the money to do it, right? And this I hear from Zambian lawyers, from Zambian economists, whether in Zambia, in the UK, or the United States. And sometimes I would say this thing can be done, and they would say, okay, it can be done, but especially those in Zambia, they would say, to be fair, even some here, they would say, if you can only happen, right? The people here cannot do that. Now, for me, I look at leverage, for example.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Right?
Wonderful.
What leverage is using what you have to get more. What I've learned in North America is that there is debt finance, which most people use. And if you have something that anyone can bet on, right, then you can easily get finance. Most of the mines that we see in Zambia, they were not the people that own the mines in Zambia, the foreign entities that own mines in Zambia or anywhere in Africa. They didn't put their hand in the pocket and pull out $2 billion to build a mine.
No, they didn't.
Right? All they had is organize a group of people to come up with a certain amount of money, right? And then they said, we have this amount of money. And then they go to the lenders and say, can we borrow this? We can, because lenders also, you see, money is also a commodity. Money is no longer just money, it's a commodity. There is someone, the way people sell mealy meal to make money, someone is selling money to make money.
There you go.
You see? And the way you sell money, you have to look for people that have money or that will be willing to pay you back. In this scenario, for example, if Zambians in the diaspora and most of the, say, financing that I've encountered or observed is that it's between 10% minimum to 35% maximum. What that means is that if you have $100,000, someone can lend you $1 million, or not $1 million, about 900,000.
900,000.
You see, and the reason they do that, if you're doing a project, the reason they do that is that they know that you work hard because you don't want to lose your 100,000, right? So by the idea that you are working hard to protect your 100,000, then their 900,000 will also be safe. For those that require 35%, it means that you'd need 350,000 to raise, to get to $1 million that you need to do something. Now, using this example with Oza, we know that we can get to 250,000 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Now, how much can we get to in a year? Now, if we had that kind of money sitting somewhere, with, say, in a bank, and you say, we can service any debt, right? We can service any debt. We have a huge membership. Then why can't we get more? Because then we are not going to wait. Instead of waiting to raise money ourselves up to 20, 30 million to do a meaningful project,
yes,
we can use debt.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I'll just add on a little bit here. Nathan, Nathan is a global guy, just like Kotuda here is encouraging about. So, Musawa, what you are saying, our cooperative, like we have announced, Nathan, is close to $800,000,
okay,
which we are investing in Zambian bonds. Today, as we speak, the money is in the Bank of Zambia, 800. And that is the same message we are saying, what Musawa has just said, is that the 1 million at the end of, because that has been our goal, is to raise about $1 million. Now, when we go to leverage, a lot of things are running in my head, Nathan. Some of these questions you ask, a lot of things are running in my head. So you have 1 million. Now, bringing leverage. Now the banks are interested in what you are doing. You guys have 1 million. We are ready, according to Musawa's math, how much is the bank going to give you for having 1 million?
At least if you have $1 million, you can get up to, depending on who you are dealing with, you can get 9 million.
About 9 million. Okay. Now we are talking about, I don't know if it's the real estate in Zambia want to do, one of those things we talk about in the cooperative. But to your question, Nathan, which you asked earlier on, what do we need to do? The translation to what Musawa is saying is, Bane, this is the kind of money we are leaving on the table. This is the kind of resources. If we forget the politics, the Zambian politics of the diaspora, the exposure we've been given to, which we have right now, if we are raising, I think in the next month or so, global cooperative, we should be able to raise another 100,000. We should have our 1 million in government bonds. close to $1 million. $1 million. Now you can even talk to big people who are going to give you 10 million to do big things. The question and the cry to a lot of us whose eyes are opening, Nathan, this is the kind of money we are leaving on the table. By the numbers you showed from Chicago, if we put that money, again, we translate, not doing away with Chicago, but we go further and do what happened in Chicago. When we are leaving money on the table, God has given in a credit card from bank every day. Do you want this? Who cannot hear? This, God has given us. This is where we are. Our country in 10 years, in 15 years, probably will stop borrowing if Musaba's numbers can be added together. We will stop going to IMF.
And we need to get to that point. We need to get to that point. People, let's, Musaba, I want us to talk about the collaboration thing Dr. Musoma is raising here. Here's my point, everybody watching. And please, the purpose of this is to show us that we have the power of spending. For me,
yes,
I'm telling you,
yes,
you can look at this whichever way you look at it. For me, Oza, even I'm looking at this Oza, you can look at it the way you want it. For me, it's representing an economic revolution.
Correct.
Those people who have amassed stands, Muma Stadium, Musaba, do you think they all support the team that is playing in those whatever?
No.
They are there for business. You see, it's our concept. Let's look at this. Okay, let's deal with the comments that are coming up here. Here we are not afraid to face. There is also ZLA. What are opportunities for collaboration? Let's deal with the question of collaboration, Musa.
Collaboration is important. Like I said earlier, remember, even before Roger mentioned that they have a certain amount of money, considerable, not certain, considerable amount of money in Zambian bonds.
Yes.
I say that we shouldn't be negative about ourselves because some people are actually doing something, right?
Yes.
Collaboration is very important. And what drives people really is self-interest. So there are people who are comfortable with certain things and uncomfortable with certain things.
Yeah.
And we can't take someone who's not comfortable to doing one thing as being apathetic or being disinterested, right? They just have a different interest. So what we need is a lot more of us to come to the fore with what they are doing.
Yeah.
And then we ourselves will choose. One example also, investing is very difficult. I listened to one person who compared investment to vitamins, right? Like most people react to pain, right? So if you look at painkillers, they sell more than vitamins.
Why?
The reason being, if you have a headache, you want the headache to go away. Whichever is paining you, you want it to go away. So you're going to buy immediately. Vitamins, they tell you that to take vitamins, you'll be healthy for a long time. But if you are feeling okay, you are not going to find that need to buy vitamins. You see?
That's
Investments is very similar. If you are asking someone to invest in Global Fund, what the name of for
Global Corp, yeah,
Global Corp, right? And you don't feel like you don't need money, right? You are not going to be motivated, even though it's the right thing to do. So that's why we need to be communicating to each other properly, conveying the message properly, so that even if people are hesitant, we don't start calling them names, start thinking these people are just selfish or uninterested, they are not supportive. No, we need to communicate this information correctly. And people, once they see that it's going to benefit them, they'll play.
Which you can't run away from that. It's a human thing, right?
Yes.
You can't run away from that. And we are not forcing anybody to do anything. That's what Henry is saying. We need a formula that speaks to our people for them to understand and buy into the investment aspect. We all have different levels of understanding things, having different levels of education. And you see, I am glad you've responded the way you've responded, Musaba, because we tend to lean more on the negative things, okay? So, like you said, people are not interested in certain things. It's like, somebody will just look at it and say, oh, it's a bunch of Chakora who go together. Others are going to be, let's just say it the way it is, Roger. Others are going to say, oh, yeah, mass scandals, yakafuma koko, and all those things. Let me tell you something. Like I use the analogy. Not everybody who has a stand in a particular stadium supports that team. You see, when I go for this event, I've got a reason why I'm going there. Number one, I want to be with the people. Okay. Number two, like you said, you like meeting people. It's nice to meet people that you just interact with on Facebook. My sister Brenda says, I wish you had brought on the panel one of the OZA executives, why they have done away with the business component of OZA. The business conference needs to be accorded a slot somewhere so that it's not entirely a 3 days of non-party, 3 days
non-stop party.
Non-stop partying, okay? And the chairperson of the OZA Executive General Assembly, she responds, Clotilda, we'll go back to having conventions. We wanted to give people something different after the pandemic. All right. So these things are very important. Musaba, I appreciate, Roger, the way you are responding to these things. The purpose of this is to give us a different way of thinking and looking at things, right? I'm not going to force you to be or to do into something that you do not want, okay? And let's look at, there are a lot of questions here. Okay. Ms. Anne says, powerful conversation. Thank you. Betty, it was nice meeting you for the first time. There you go, Musaba. I met Betty for the first time. And yet we speak a lot. We are on the phone. We interact on Facebook. It's part of, okay. So that's part of the situation and things that we're dealing with here. Okay, I want us to do something here before we finally, end our conversation. The idea is just to provoke our thinking. That's all that we are doing here. I just wanted to provoke people's thinking and look at ourselves differently. Like I've said, I don't know whether I've shared this with you, Musaba, but I've said it to Roger many times. The problem, the biggest challenge HH has is the mindset of the citizens. That's the biggest problem. If you can change the mindset, then your job will be easy. I want to play something here before we go away. I don't want us to stay long here. Let's listen to. Let's listen to this before we go.
I must confess, this is not what I expected. I thought it was a small group of people just coming together. I'm pleasantly surprised that we can come from different places of the country and others outside the country into Chicago to celebrate together as a family. And I think you deserve a big hand of applause to yourselves.
Zambia!
And I can say myself, if it were possible to take one big picture, I want to send it to the president himself. For him to see. Because this is good. This is very, very good. You look great. I've been very well welcomed at the airport. Now, the only regret I had, because you bought for me the tickets, and you upgraded to first class. But when I look at the people here, I think I deserved a chartered plane.
Hi, everybody. We're talking about a postmortem of the Oza independence celebration. There's a reason I played that clip, Musala. What's the Bemba expression? Avakala, you know, when elders are speaking. I told Musala, everybody watching Roger, that even if it sounded like a joke, I'm a little bit disappointed. But looking at the crowd here, I would have expected a chartered plane. It sounded like a joke, but what was he saying, Musa?
I think it's two things. The first one is that he could see the potential, right? He could see governments expect, usually, actually, not everyone in Zambia, we have to make it very clear, but most people expect, when you're dealing with government, you expect to receive, right? He found himself in a situation where the Zambians actually gave. You see, the Zambian flew the ambassador to an event in first class, right? And he realized that the people that put him on first class could have chartered him a plane.
Yes.
Could have put him on a private plane. Now, whether that is a joke or not, it has significance in itself.
I didn't expect, let's break this down. I want us to break that little clip. It's a long speech. I just ended there. We don't have the time to go into what the other things. I didn't expect this many people. I was coming and expecting a small crowd. And I am surprised that we came from different places. And by the way, for those of you who didn't know, there were two families that came from Canada, one of them being Musaba and his wife. I didn't expect to find this many people coming from different places. Takes us back to the objective of our conversation, the power to spend that we have. Musaba, I didn't expect this crowd of people I'm seeing here.
And to be fair, like I said, it was my first time to attend the OZA event. So even I didn't expect that group, that number of people. And it was at a casino that I think a good amount of money went to them. And that's why you start thinking, right? That's why you start thinking. People tell me, and this adds to what we're discussing earlier. People ask me, why do you insist on capitalism? Why do you think capitalism can save Africa, right? For me, the reason is simple. It speaks to even what I think it's Andrew who mentioned it, Roger mentioned it as well. We think in a certain way, but we look at things differently. Capitalism comes with free enterprise, right? Free enterprise is freedom of expression, freedom of choice.
Yes.
Right? I don't say that I'm right. I've never insisted that I'm right, but on this one is the right way to. The reason for that is that in a socialist setting, I would want, say, for example, Roger, Nathan, and everybody else to agree with me. And the only way things would work is if we work together.
That's right.
In a private enterprise settings, means that I have to agree that Roger can think and Roger can do something even better than me. So if Roger doesn't work with me, doesn't mean he doesn't like me or he hates me. It only means that he can do something better than I can. You see?
In his way, in his own way, his taking a different direction.
Yes.
Not going the Oza way, not going the ZLA way, not going Okay.
Yes.
Not the ZBTROA.
Yes, but the objective is one, is Zambia. We are working towards a certain goal using different methods, right? So then we are going to cultivate each other. That's how I see it.
Roger, do you have any final comments before we end? I don't want us to drag this thing.
Yeah, like I said, you have a birthday to attend to. And it's a must. We need to do that. We need to do that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So my comment also goes back to what our friend in ZLA is saying about collaboration. So the small number of people, the small number of people you saw in Chicago, now he's saying ZLA put together whatever is in Arizona, whatever is in Texas. If you have now, let's combine that. There is a term you are using here to describe OZA as an economic
revolution.
Revolution. Now, all of a sudden, with the word collaboration, we are going to create even something bigger. What would that something big looks like? One of the visions we have at Global is to have our own credit union. Musaba mentioned something like we have different interests, but one of the interests we all have, guess what? 90% of us have a credit card. Why should that credit card not be issued by Global? And that money, we know somehow it will make its way to a Zambian institution or Zambian mining enterprise. And therefore, the negative cry of Africa, maybe we can stop it. So the collaboration, Nathan, I'm seeing here, we have how is Zambia or let's say China? How is China progressing today? They say China is the manufacturer of the world. They are exporting everywhere. We want our people to export to here, but they cannot make it. Why? Because they don't have the capital. But we know we have this. We have refused to say this thing about potential. We don't want to hear potential again. We have the money. All we need to do is to come together. Who has a mango juice to export to America? Where is the money? Go to the cooperative. They will lend you the money, and the juice will start coming. These are things we can do. You don't say issue to high unemployment, this and this. We can solve. Nothing, Musab. We can solve. We can solve. We can be part of the solution.
Yeah, we can. And you see here, as we conclude here, okay, Henry says, Pastor, the question should be, how can we use the OZA platform to recruit the needed numbers for investment? Like Musaba said, Vasakala, everybody's interest should be respected and honored. That's the question, of course, but I don't think this should be an OZA burden, okay? The question is, when you go to an OZA event, what are you seeing? All right?
Nathan, before you close to that question, one of my favorite pastors is, I don't know, Musawa, maybe you listen to him, Miles Gordon. He's an entrepreneur, more of an entrepreneur. God in our creation. It is not a choice. We all want to live in abundance. We should be living in poverty as a choice.
No.
We should live in abundance. But so how do we make that money? Probably will be the formulas of discussion. So we cannot say, oh, I end there.
It's very true. Musaba, you have the final word. Musaba, you have the final word here. And by the way, before you end, it was really, 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 really great to meet you, my friend. And we are going to do another show. The show we were supposed to do is not originally what we have done today. We will do another show. So now everybody, you see the reason I told you, the reason I brought Musaba here, I was telling people, I said, is not a traditional thinker or doesn't think like everybody, one of us thinks. Okay, boy, you have the right. By the way, it's from Mufulira. I just had to throw that in.
Thank you guys for having me. I haven't been here in a while, but it's a pleasure. I was also very happy to meet you and a few others that I met. The welcome was very nice by the Oza group. And let's keep discussing so that they say that while the metal is still hot.
Yes.
Let's
strike
keep forming
it.
some. Yes.
Strike it. Yeah. Thank you, boy. So this is the coin. I've phrased the coin. Oza independence celebration is not just a party. It's an economic revolution.
Correct.
Take that from me. Trust me. Okay.
Correct.
I don't drink. How do I enjoy the party, but I don't drink. Before we go, here's something I want to share with everything. Are you ready with this, Roger? Check this out.
Ready.
Check this out.
Happy
Boom.
anniversary.
Look at that.
I'll sponsor lunch for birthday girl. Oh, wow. I'm coming. Can I get crashes there as well?
No, this one you can't get crash. It's between me and the girl. Thank you, well, Chloe. I appreciate everybody who has participated on this. And just one quick announcement. Here in the United States, we are changing time.
Oh, we are changing time.
We are changing time today. And the reason I'm making this announcement, Umsala, is that our time in Zambia will be affected when we'll be coming on UK and in Australia, okay? So just watch what is on our Facebook page. And I think in Zambia, we are going to 1700 hours. I need to check with my UK people what the time is going to be. Thank you, everybody. And that was Musaba Chailunga from Toronto, Canada. You can see, I appreciate you, my friend, Roger. Mwebalanda Roger yakuisa uyo aisa lelo.
I'm here. We are digging. We are digging.
You know what I tell people, Clotilda, this is a joke. I tell people that Roger was transferred to run the subsidiary of ZBTR.
Exactly.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.